friends, Brickey here, reporting back to you about what it's like to take a flight from Disneyland to Disney World on Breeze Airways, who advertises such a flight every summer. They don't do these flights all year long, which would be great, but they do advertise this every spring and the summer during what they believe is peak travel time between the two theme parks. So what I want to do today is break down for you what it cost me, how I enjoyed it, and what the overall vibe is flying non-stop from Walt's original Magic Kingdom to the Magic Kingdom. Brickey here, and if you stumbled into this because you're just looking for an airline review, my name's Brickey and I cover all things Disneyland, but here lately I've also fallen in love with going to Walt Disney World. I've been, I think, like 7 times since 2021, and this time around I decided to give Breeze Airways a chance because they do advertise Disneyland to Disney World. Typically when I do these flights, I always choose JetBlue or American Airlines, and I always do a non-stop flight. I don't want to have to break my flight up into weird stops in the middle of the country. I don't want to go to New York on my way to Orlando because I got to get to the Magic as fast as possible. When I was looking for airline flights to go out for a premiere of Tiana's Bayou Adventure, Breeze Airlines was the cheapest out of the other 2 airlines. Cheaper than JetBlue, cheaper than American, and I'll get to all the pricing at the end of this video. But my first interaction with Breeze was a little bit weird because their gate staff, both at John Wayne here in Orange County and then at MCO, Mickey's corporate office in Orlando, the gate staff had little to no control over the crowd. I was zone 2 and they just basically said, "We're going," and people just jumped into line. Be wary if you do fly this airline, they don't play by the usual airline rules. Everybody just gets up and just kind of gets on the plane. So if you're gonna wait around for your number to get called, you're gonna wait around and probably lose that valuable overhead luggage space by your seat. And let's talk about that, because hidden fee number 1 was you get to take 1 carry-on bag, the bag that fits underneath the seat in front of you, and then you have to pay to bring any other bag with you. If I would have flown with JetBlue and American, I don't think that that's the case. But because I knew that I would be doing these flights as a review for all of my friends that are curious about using this airline to go from Disney World to Disneyland or vice versa, when I got the email from them that you can bid to upgrade for your seat, I had to do it for this video. And to be honest, I'm somebody who typically does pay for the extra leg room. I stand just under 6 feet tall, I like to work on the plane, and I also have mild claustrophobia, which is why I don't ride the submarines at Disneyland. One and done, never again. It almost ruined my life. When I rode the submarines, it's like, if I don't get off of the submarine, I might not ever be able to get on an airplane for the rest of my life, and that would ruin my life. So Breeze does this thing where you can pay for their better seats, but you can also bid for the premier seats. The first time the email came through, I said, I'm not gonna do it. The whole idea was this was supposed to be a cheaper flight. If I pay for the upgrades, now I'm over to where the other carriers that I know and trust, I would be close to their pricing. So at first I didn't do it, but when the second email came through, I said, for the review, I should do it. And so what I did was I bid the lowest amount possible. Like, there's a little bar that you can grab and they suggest a certain amount of money that you're supposed to bid. I went all the way down, cheap as possible. And good news, my auction got accepted for the flight out to Orlando and the flight back home to Orange County. So the seat flying out was part of Breeze Airways Ascent package. And as you can see, a very, very comfortable first class style seat. It was me and another dude. We each had our own armrest in the middle, as well as a little space that he decided was for his iPhone. But around the actual console in the center of us, there was a lip where I could put my iPad in there or my phone or whatever I needed to. In fact, the seat was so comfortable, I had a bottle of water that I put in the seat when I first sat down, and I forgot that it was there. On most airlines, you would know that there was also a bottle of water sitting in your seat with you. The space down below was plenty of room for my bag. There are no obtrusive bars that take your space that you paid for and divides it up in a way that's not practical to put a bag in there. So that compartment was absolutely perfect. The tray that swings out from your armrest, tons of room in there, lots of space. In fact, it had enough room for me to put my laptop, my 12-inch MacBook Pro, with my iPhone 15 Max sitting right next to it. Enough room for both devices is pretty unheard of. So for someone who works the entire time that they're on a plane, this seat was amazing, like a very, very comfortable workspace. And one other thing that made this even better is traditionally, I always have to sit on the aisle. I get kind of claustrophobic sitting against the window, but for this video, I wanted to be able to film my seat without filming any of the other guests on the flight. See, kind of my thing with my Disney videos is my face is the only face you ever see. I try to be polite and courteous, and I know that everybody that's here at the park today isn't here to be in one of my videos. The timing on that was amazing. And it also passed the ultimate test. As you can see, I was able to cross my legs, and I wear a size 12.5 Air Jordan. Thank you for buying me a pair. And for me to be able to cross my legs, it just makes me feel like less anxiety. It just makes me feel comfortable in my space. So this seat was a worthy upgrade. It was so comfortable. If I could always get that seat, this would probably be my preferred airline. But on the way back, my bid for an upgrade, I didn't get Ascent. I got extra legroom. And the extra legroom, I don't know if I could fly in any seat that was smaller than this one. As you can see, I'm right at the back row, row 12 of the extra legroom, and the seats behind me look pretty tight. So in this particular seat, it was 2, so I was able to sit against the window and no big deal. But working was very difficult because as soon as we went up in the air, the person in front of me slammed their seat back, and then I was really fighting to be able to see the bottom of my laptop, because even though my laptop would fit, the angle that I had to keep it at was so intense that the bottom of Premiere Pro was very, very hard to read. Now, I didn't film my laptop or my workspace on this flight because it was much smaller and there was no way to film that workspace without filming one of the guests on the plane, and I just feel like that's rude. Nobody's there to be in my video. But you can see from this footage, a lot smaller than the more expensive seat when I was sitting up in row 2. Now, maybe I missed this part because I had my headphones on the entire time because I was working, but I don't think that I got offered a snack for my second flight. I did get to choose something off their more expensive menu on the way out when I was up in the nicer seat, and I chose the M&Ms. And it was a shareable size, and I didn't share it with anybody but me. But on the way back, there was stewardess service, and I don't feel like I got offered any food. But I could get that wrong because I could have had my headphones in the whole time. But with that being said, flight crews on both flights were very, very polite, very nice, outstanding service, like really kind of went above and beyond. And on the way out, we had an amazing thing happen. Our pilot announced that he was getting an early Father's Day gift where the co-pilot happened to be his son. I don't know if I've ever had a father and son duo fly in the plane. So that was pretty cool and kind of definitely gave me the emotions. And both flights were absolutely smooth as could be. The first landing, flawless. The second landing, a little bit rough, but coming in and out of Orange County is pretty intense because of Newport. And friends, now would be a great time to subscribe to the channel if you want to see all my many theme park videos where I break down the history, the design, the art, the architecture, the heart of the park. And if you've flown Breeze Airways, do me a favor, leave a review of your experience below, so if somebody watches this video, they can read the comments and kind of see what a Disneylander's perspective is on using this as their option to go from park to park. I'd appreciate that, and I'm sure somebody else who's trying to research a trip, they'd appreciate that as well. All right, so now let's get to what you're wondering. How much did this cost? And did I save any money when I did these upgrades? To take a bag each way, $40. $80 right off the top just to take my suitcase with me. That is absolutely criminal. If you're going someplace, you need to take things with you. I understand charging people for multiple bags, but one suitcase should be a part of the airfare. So I'm not a very good reader, didn't know that was a thing. $80 to take my suitcase with me, and also, I wanted to bring it back home. That nice seat that I got in the front when I bid as low as possible, that was a $176 upgrade. No regrets, would buy that every single time. I also don't know if it works for my budget either, but I'm a crazy person when I get on a plane. It's like when every inch matters the most. And then the extra legroom seat in the back was a $54 upgrade. That's cheaper than an extra legroom seat on JetBlue, which I always pay for those. Even when I fly for work, they buy my airline tickets and I pay for my upgrades. I can't sit in the regular seat. It drives me insane. Now, when I priced out the other airlines, JetBlue was $450. And JetBlue actually had way more flexible departures and arrival times. With Breeze, I was locked in on flying out Tuesday, midday, and getting to Orlando at 8 o'clock. Those parks closed really early, so not really enough time to rip a theme park. My theme parking didn't begin until Wednesday morning. And then on the flight home, they had me leaving at 9 a.m. And I did get home by noon in Orange County, so that was nice. But if I would have chose JetBlue, I could have did a red eye, essentially getting there Tuesday morning and having all day Tuesday instead of getting there at 8 o'clock on Tuesday. So I lost out on an extra day of theme park. And then JetBlue would have had me flying home at 5 o'clock local time. So I would have also had pretty much like a strong half day in the parks. So by choosing Breeze, I lost a day and a half of what I love the most, being in Disney parks. And that part really almost made me not choose this airline because I want every hour possible, and they took some hours from me by having such a limited flight schedule. And I had been warned by friends that had taken this airline before that they're known to cancel flights. So I was a little bit nervous because I was going out there for a premiere of Tiana's Bayou Adventure and I didn't want to miss my scheduled time to ride. So luckily, everything was on time for me and very professional, but I have been told by friends before in the theme park YouTube industry, oh what an industry, that they've had their flights canceled by Breeze. So just a little something that I was told that I want to pass over to you, just in case you're betting the family's entire vacation on this airline, because unlike JetBlue or American, if they cancel, there's lots of other options. If Breeze cancels, I think you're kind of screwed. All right, so as I promised, what did it cost? JetBlue was $450 base price. I would have had to get extra leg room and all that stuff. And American Airlines was around, I believe, $575, just slightly under $600. Breeze was $394. So they were cheaper, but once I did all of my upgrades, which totaled $310 for 2 nicer seats and to be able to take my suitcase with me and to also bring it back home, my total fare was $704. So that's a lot different than when you see $390, it ended up being $700 something. I could have easily done the JetBlue flight and been probably less than that price and had a day and a half extra in the park. An American would have probably been very, very similar once I did seat upgrades. So, value airline with some hidden fees. If you have the ability to sit in a small seat and you don't need to upgrade, it would be great, but keep in mind, $80 just to get your suitcase with you. And something they do that's also interesting, the back, I want to say 12, 16 rows is the family section, and they have all the families with young ones sitting in one spot. So, parents don't have to feel nervous or weird about aggravating people around them. Everybody's in that same chapter in their life and has empathy for each other. So being in the front of the plane around single adults traveling by themselves or traveling as couples, it was nice and very, very relaxing. That part I loved. So with the limited schedule, I don't know that I would pick it again, but that front seat was really, really nice. But I also got that seat at its lowest price possible because I was very stingy with my bid. So not guaranteed to get it if you play the game the way that I did. But luckily for this video, I was able to show you their best seat and their extra legroom seat, and even kind of give you a vibe of what the smaller seats in the back look like. This video is pretty out of character for me. I normally don't do things like this, but I know so many of you know that you can trust my Disney opinions, and I wanted to give you a strong opinion on what it was like to travel coast to coast using Breeze Airways. Customer service was great in flight, not great at the airport, and their schedule is very, very limiting. To me, time is more important than money, and so I always prioritize these things on what's going to give me the best time and what's going to give me the most amount of time. But That's also the privilege of being middle-aged and never having kids. So we all have different spots in this world, and the value of $1 means something different to every single person. But I could see this working out for some folks. It was good, glad I did it. I was always curious about it. Don't know that I would rush out and do it again if I wasn't guaranteed to get a good value on that first seat that I got. That seat was one of the nicest flying experiences I've had, and I've been fortunate enough to fly first class several times. That was one of the best seats I've had. Not as good as like JetBlue Mint, but as good as you're gonna get for a big seat in the front. How about you jump into one of my theme park videos right here?